Hello, fantastic first graders, and we are here again on Friday, so our final day of the week. And in fact, you're probably extra excited because you have a little bit of a holiday break coming up. So we want to make sure that we get our final math lesson in and that our brain is really doing a lot of thinking to figure out some of these last steps. This week, we've been focusing a lot on some of our number corner activities, and today we will do the same. So real quick, let's take a look at our three-dimensional shapes. Go ahead and remind yourself of what the names of each of those are. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our calendar. And we had been talking about how not only is our calendar having a pattern of which three-dimensional shape comes next, but we noticed that there was a pattern in how many or the quantity of those shapes. So we had talked about how the pattern was cylinder, rectangular prism, sphere, and cube. And we had one of each of those 3D shapes. Then after we had one, we ended up with two. So we had two cylinders, two rectangular prisms, two spheres, and two cubes. And then we got to this week and we said, oh, we had one, then we had two, and now we have three. So we had three cylinders, three rectangular prisms. So if we're looking right now on today, Friday, December 18th, we have our third rectangular prism, So let's think about it. After rectangular prism comes what? A sphere. And how many are we going to have? We're going to have three spheres. Let's see if we're right, since we're going to be on vacation during this time. One sphere, two spheres, three spheres. What's going to come after our spheres? Our cubes. One cube, two cubes, three cubes. So now what should we see? A cylinder. You got it. One, two, three. Do you think there's going to be four cylinders, or is it going to move on to rectangular prism? Four cylinders. And then we'll end our month with our rectangular prisms. So if we had another day here in the month of December, we'd have our fourth rectangular prism. Pretty amazing job. All right. So let's think about how many days we have been in school before we leave for our break. Because when we come back from our break, it's no longer 2020. It will be 2021. We're starting a new year. You're still in first grade, but you're starting a new calendar year. So here we had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. Right, so we are at 79 days that we have been in school so far. 7 groups of 10 and 9 left over. So when we write the number 79, we're going to write our 7 groups of 10 first, which is the value of 70. And then our 9 left over, our 9 ones for 79. Now, for those of you who do not have a board and marker close by, I know some days we use them and some days we don't, so it's nice for you just to always be prepared. But if you do not have a board and marker close by, I want you to pause the video right now, grab your board and marker super fast, and then come back and push play. For those of you who are prepared, we're going to go ahead and get started. So you will need a board and marker right now. All right, so you should have paused me and pushed play, or some of you are ready to go. Today's learning target is you're going to be able to add doubles quickly. Doubles, like 1 and 1 is a double. Double is when we have the same number 2 times. 5 and 5. 100, 100. Okay, so we're going to be able to add those really quickly. And then you're also going to be able to use those doubles facts. So if I know that 1 plus 1 is 2, if I had 2 and cut it in half, it would be 1 and 1. So we're going to kind of do 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 is 1 plus 1. All right, so we're going to look at some of those doubles facts making the doubles and then also dividing them or taking them away. You'll know you're successful when you can solve the equations correctly during small group. So we will do some practicing here together, but then we will also practice during our small group time. All right. So let's take a look at our dominoes. We kind of looked at doubles when we looked at our dominoes a while back. And I want you to think about, what do you notice about these dominoes? What's the same? What might be different? What patterns do you see? What do you notice? Oh, I hear some good noticings. Let's take a look at some of these kids and what they notice, and then we'll talk about some of the things that you might have observed. So this gentleman right here, the first one says, well, I observed that each domino has the same number of dots on each side. So if a domino has 2 dots on one side, then they have 2 on the other. Or 5 on one side, then they're going to have 5 on the other. Or 0 on one side, they're going to have 0 on the other. So when we have the same number 2 times, we call that a double. We call that a double. This girl in the middle says, well, I notice each dot has a partner on each side. Oh, a partner. So she's thinking about right here. This dot has a dot over there that it partners with. And those 2 are partners. And those 2 are partners. Or maybe she's looking at here. Those 2 are partners. So not only do they have the same dots on both sides, but they always have a partner. And what do we call the numbers where they always have a partner? There's no oddballs. That's your clue. They always have a partner. So they're called an even number. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Any number that ends with a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6, 8. Any of those numbers, whether it's 2 or it's 202, those are always going to be even numbers because they'll always have a partner. All right, and then this gentleman says, I observed that the dots on the dominoes look like dots on a dice. So if you were to roll, the dots that we see here on this domino would look very similar to the ones we would see on the face of the die. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of practice together here. What I'd like you to do is, you do not have this paper, so I'm not looking for you to shuffle around in your packets and say, Miss Fonner didn't tell us to get out this paper. What I do want you to have is your board and marker ready, because we're going to practice together. We're going to do some practicing together to look at how we could make doubles and how we might use those doubles to divide them up. So I do have the worksheet. You don't have to worry about it, but you're going to help me fill in some parts of it. So what I want you to put on your board is, I want you to put kind of this giant triangle here. Just put a triangle there on your board. You can make it really big. Now this is going to kind of help us with what we call a number bond, or we used it when we looked at our fact families. All right, so we're going to take a look at our picture right here. Our picture shows that we have 1 dot on top and 1 dot on the bottom. So in my triangle, I'm going to write, I've got 1 and I've got 1 more. 1 and 1 more. When I add these 2 together, 1 plus 1, what is my answer? 2. 2. My 2 is going to go at the top. So this is kind of showing me that if I have 2, I could break that down into 1 plus 1. So if I have the number 2, the dividing it, if I want to split it in half, I would split it to being 1 plus 1. So what's an addition sentence I could use with these numbers? Right, 1 plus 1. You can write it on your page, and that equals 2. What would be my subtraction sentence for this fact family? Right, we'd have to start with 2. 2 minus 1 equals 1. So do you see how we're kind of thinking, all right, how many are on here? That's my doubles fact. 1 and 1 is 2. The doubles of 1 are 2. And then I can say, well, I can add them together. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Or I can divide them. I can start with 2 and take away that 1, and it will get 1 more. I'm splitting this 2 in half. All right, so let's take a look at this next one. So go ahead and erase your board. You've got your triangle on here. I need to focus this a little bit better for you. There we go. All right, let's look at this top row. How many are on the top here? How many are on the top? 2. How many are on the bottom? 2. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So I can say that my doubles fact of 2s, if I have 2 and 2 more, it's going to give me 4. If I was going to divide them in half, I can take 4, here's my 4, and I can cut it in half, and I would have 2 in one group and 2 in the other. So I want you to take a second and write down your addition sentence. How would you add that together? What 2 numbers would you add together from that fact family? Right, you would do 2 plus 2 equals 4, and then take those numbers and create your subtraction sentence on your board. You should have 4 minus 2 equals 2. 4 minus 2 equals 2. All right, let's erase our boards. We're going to move to the next one. Here's my next one. On the top, I have 3. On my second piece, I have 3. So that's my doubles fact. 3 plus 3 more is 6. Put your 6 on top of that triangle, or that carrot, I guess, since we don't have a bottom on there. So what addition sentence would you write using your doubles fact? What addition sentence could you write on your board using those numbers? Great. 3 plus 3 equals 6. And we can see that here. 3 plus 3 equals 6. So what would our subtraction sentence be? Subtracting, our takeaway. We would have 6 minus 3 equals 3. Because we're starting off with 6 total, and we want to cut that in half. And we would see that we have 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. You can also look at your fact family here. We started with 6, and we divided it into 2 different numbers, and we have 3 and 3. Now, some of you might say, well, I could do 5 plus 1 or 4 plus 2. And those are correct, but remember, we're focusing on doubles, which means we're trying to find the number that you could use 2 times to make our even number of 6. So even though 5 and 1 make 6, those aren't the same numbers. 5 is different than 1, but 3 and 3 more are the same. So let's look down here. Let's look down here. We would have 4, and we would have 4 more, which equal what? 4 plus 4 is 8. So our 8 goes at the top because we have these two pieces. They're worth 4 each, and it makes 8 total. So what would our addition sentence be? Write it on your board. Right, we would have 4 plus 4 equals 8. And then what would our subtraction sentence be? We would have 8 minus 4 equals 4. So we're still using these numbers from our fact family. And if we're looking at our picture and we have all 8 of them and we cut it in half, we would have 4 left over. All right, here's our final one to practice. And then we'll look at some things today during our small group. So this is a group of 10. We have our whole 10 frame. So we have 10 total. And what same two numbers would equal 10? So not like 1 and 9 or 2 and 8, but which two numbers would equal 10? What would be our doubles fact? Right, 5 plus 5. So our addition sentence is 5 plus 5 equals 10. And then our subtraction sentence would be, 10 take away 5 equals 5. So still using that fact family. All right. So here's what you're going to be doing. You have one slide to turn in as part of your Google Classroom assignment, and then I'll see you at your small group. Your job will be to take the dominoes and put them next to the green boxes. Then your job is to drag the yellow box to match the domino. So you can see they pulled the 6 and 6 domino, and then they're dragging 6 plus 6 equals 12. So the equation matches the picture. They do not have to be in any special order, they just have to match. So this person started with 6 plus 6. You could start with 0 plus 0. All right, but your job is to drag the dominoes into the gray space and drag the matching equation into the yellow space. When you are finished, you have to go back to Google Classroom and hit submit so I can see the work that you did on this Google slide. When we meet in small group, your slide should be finished, and then you should have a pencil and page 21 from your number corner packet. Remember, we're working a lot this week on our number corner packets. All right, this is what your page will look like. As you can see, we are practicing adding our doubles and then subtracting using our doubles. So this is something that we'll be working on in small group. So again, your job is to make sure you finish that slide and submit it, where you're matching the domino with the equation. And then when you come to small group, you will need your pencil and page 21 from your number corner packet. All right, I can't wait to see you pretty soon online. Bye-bye.